Today we'll be looking at king and pawn endings with the strength of the king into play. And in this position we have king c4, c2, king f3, and a7. And we want to stop this pawn, but if we try to do that directly by king b5, then he has king e4, king a6, and king d4, and our pawn is going to be blockaded and captured. So if we try to go king d5 so that our pawn promotes, then his pawn can also promote. For example, a5, c4, a4, and we want to play king c4 here, but the problem is that there's our white pawn in the way. So we have to play king d4, he plays a3, and the only move for us to get in the square is king c3, but then he plays king e4, and he's going to be able to blockade our pawn. So the whole mess starts with his king. His king is active in both variations. If we can shut out the king, then we'll be good to go, and we'll be able to promote our pawn. So by playing king d4, we're able to do just that. And after a5, c4, a4, c5, a3, king c3, we are in the square of the black pawn, and he's not in our square, so we're able to promote and we're able to capture his pawn. For example, after king e4, the only threat he has is to capture our pawn. He doesn't have two threats like in the previous video about the Richard Reddy composition, because the king, our white king's barrier, prevents him from even getting close to his black pawn. He would have to take the long way, which costs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves just to even touch b2, and that's going to take way too long. So after king e4, c6, and as you can see, he can no longer stop our pawn, and there's no way he can get closer to our pawn, to his pawn, so inevitably we're going to promote. So that's when creating double threats doesn't work, because his threat of promoting his black pawn, it's stopped by our white king. It's super strong because it's in the way, and that's how we want to get our kings. So after king d4, exclamation mark, a5, c4, you can try to go king f4 and blockade our pawn, but then we just simply play a5, and if he plays a4, then we just play c6, and like we saw in the other video, we're going to be able to promote. So he has to play king f5 here, but then we play c6, and now he can't try to promote a4, c7, a3, and we promote also with check. So that doesn't work. He's going to try to play king e6 here, but then we just play king c5, and there's a barrier. He can't get any closer to the pawn. He's going to take 1, 2, 3 moves. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, and by then we'll have 1, 2, 3. So we'll be able to secure the pawn's promotion. For example, a4, king b6, a3, c7, a2, and we queen with check. So that's an example of what happens when you win the pawn race. You queen with check, and there's another video in the future about that. So that variation with starting with a5 doesn't work. He has to use all of his time to stop our pawn first, create a blockade, and then push this pawn forward. So he's going to create the blockade first. After king f4, we play c4 anyway, no big deal. If he tries playing a5, he loses just like we saw. So he's going to try to keep going with king f5, and now king d5, keeping the blockade going. So after a5, c5, a4, c6, a3, c7, a2, c8, and we queen with check, which is unfortunate because he was just one step away on this miserable square. But he could play smarter. He could try to avoid the check. Remember that kings don't only have one path to get to a square. So to get to f6, you can take king f5 f6, or you can go king g5 f6. And king g5 also avoids any check on c8. So if he tries to play king g5, then we can just actually play a really brilliant move here, king c5. And what that does is forces this black king to make a decision. The black pawn can't move, because if it moves, we just attack it and then we capture it, and the black king is in no position to create a blockade. So king c5 is just brilliant. It forces this black king to make a move. He has to return to the f file, and because we are forcing the black king to make another move, we haven't really wasted much time here. For example, after king f5, king f6 now. King f5, king f6, a5, c5, a4, c6, a3, c7, a2, and we queen just like we saw in the last variation. So he plays king f6 here, and this can also be reached. This position can also be reached via. So we play king d6. This position can be reached after king f5, king d5, king f6, king d6. And so if he tries to push the pawn now, so a5, c5, a4, c6, a3, c7, a2. Yes, they both do queen, but we have a skewer. And the skewer also makes an appearance in Searching for Bobby Fischer, which is one of my favorite movies. So this king moves out the way, and then we just crush and we take this queen. So that's the problem with staying on this diagonal. So it almost looks like he's done for. So he's going to try one last attempt to create the blockade by taking this path. And we're not going to let him, of course. So after c7, after king f7, c5, king e8, we're not going to push the pawn because he creates a blockade, drawing. But we're going to play king c7. So after a5, we don't chase the pawn because after king b6, king d7, d6, king c8, and the blockade is created. So, or actually not king d7. The problem with king d7 is we have king b7. But hold on a minute. Just trying to get back to the position. Just a moment. Okay. So I'll start from the beginning. So king d4, king f4, okay. And now king f5, king f6, king f7. Okay, great. So sorry about that. So he can't play king d7 because of king b7, but instead he plays king d8, or not actually. Sorry, he plays a4, and then c6, a3, c7, or wow. So this actually wins king b6. So king b6, yeah, it's also a winning variation. So the main idea is that he queens with check at the very end. So after a5, king b6, and if king d8, king b7. His king moves, so we haven't wasted time by moving our king again. It would be worrying if he moved the pawn and we moved our king again. That's very worrisome. But if both kings are moving, no pawns are getting closer to promotion, so it's okay. So then we have a4, c6, a3, and we queen with check. So if he stays there on e8, then he has a4, c6, a3, c7, a2, and we queen with check at the very end because he's on the last rank. That's the danger of the king being on the last rank. So that's one thing to watch out for. And that completes this puzzle. So you always want to make sure you keep the king blockaded using your own king. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a like. If you feel like you got a lot of value out of the video, then feel free to donate. The link is in the description. We'll look at some more examples of the king's strength in future videos. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.